again. Second time today. Iain from Ranking the Obscure. I've forgotten who I am. This afternoon we're going to have a look at a band from the late 80s, mid 90s, Little Angels, formed in Scarborough in 1984. Their first name was Use, then they changed it to Mr. Fund, and then they became Little Angels. The group was Toby Jepson on vocals, Mark Plunkett on bass, Dave Hopper on drums, and then brothers Bruce and Jimmy Dickinson guitar and keyboards. They about 88 time they sat Dave Hopper because he went and did a audition with the Colt, and he didn't tell the rest of the band, and they brought in a guy called Michael Lee, who stayed with them until they sort of split up in 1994. Tragically, Michael Lee died in 2008. He had an epileptic seizure. So the guys from the band had a bit of a reunion, and they played some gigs, which included a spotted download in 2012. They made 4 albums, but there's this big debate. They had their first official release as an album was like a mini LP, and then they sort of redid it in later on. But they also had a mini album, another mini album. So there's debate if it was 4 or 5. So I'm going to rank 4, but we're going to have a mention of the EP because it has got a really good track on it. So we'll do the honourable mention first. This was an EP that came out between their first and second album called Big Bad World. Reason I'm mentioning it, it's got one of my favourite Little Angels tracks on it, She's a Little Angel. It's got some great keyboards, and this band love horns. It's all over their albums, so that's a good track. Then there's a one, Don't Waste My Time, it's okay. Then they had a track called Better Than the Rest. Great, these songs never appeared on albums apart from one. Great riff. Then you get some mediocre One Sex in the Cars, 99 in the Shade. Then they do Big Bad World, but I'll mention that later. They have a live track called England Rocks. It's alright. So that was the honourable mention, Big Bad World. So let's move on to the albums. So we're up to 4. Now this is confusing for number 4. Number 4 is their mini LP from 1987, which was sort of their first release, Too Posh to Mosh, and they then redone some of the tracks and added it to an album which was their 5th album called Too Posh, Too Mosh, Too Good to Last. If you're confused, so am I. We'll go through all the tracks because they're sort of, most of them are the same, but we'll go through them and also mention the differences. First track on Too Posh to Mosh is Down in the Know. It's a great opening riff, but it's an average song. The other one, the remix, was not much different. You know, I've listened to both and I can't tell the difference. The second track, No More Whiskey, really good rocker, and when they redone it, the production was much better, and it proves, see what a good track that was. Reach for Me, 80s rock crap, don't like it. They remixed it and it doesn't sound much better. Then a track called the title track, Too Posh to Mosh, great rocker, and when they redone it, it sounds even better. You know, the production's a lot better on it, so That is one that paid off. Then we have Bad or Just No Good. Not Just No Good. It's an okay track, as it says, it's just no good. When they redone it, better production, and the guitar solo absolutely kicks on the remix. Then we get a track called Better Than the Rest. It's okay. Then the best track on the original album, Burning Me. Great guitar solo in this, good track. And then when they remixed it, remastered, they added a couple of tracks to the album. The first one was All Roads Lead to You. This is a corker. This is the best track on the remix album. It's got a great riff and really good drums on this. Then we get a track called Forbidden Fruit. It's a bluesy rocker, a really solid track. Then we have I Want Love. It's a great track. It's got great piano work on this and guitar mixes well. And then the last track that's different is Some Kind of Alien. It's okay, but it's got a stonking guitar solo. So if you're not confused, you've done well. Okay then, coming in at number 3 is their 1989 album, their second album, Don't Pray For Me. Solid album this is. Don't think there's a bad track on this one. There's some weaker tracks, but they're all okay. Opens up with a track called Do You Wanna Riot. The drumming in this is absolutely stonking, and then you get these nice guitar riffs all the way through the track. Then we get a song called Kick Hard Good, solid rocker. If you like your rock music, this is what you need. Okay, the next track is Big Bad World, which was on that mini EP. This is much better. It was a fast rock on the first one, but they really did do some work on it, and it's a stonking track on this one. Then we get my favourite track on the album, Kicking Up Dust. It's a great rocker. It's got a really nice run of piano in it that comes in, comes out. Great guitar work in this as well. Then we have the title track, Don't Pray For Me. This is a nice acoustic number. Toby Jepson's voice is fantastic. He's another underrated singer. We've produced so many good singers over the years. Then we get a track called On Broken Wings of an Angel. This again is a superb track. It's got an acoustic start and then goes into a good rock track with a really good catchy melody. And when you listen to it, when you finish listening to it, you go off and do something else, and this pops into your head. That's how good the melody is. Then we have a solid rocker called Bitter and Twisted. Next track, Promises. This is so much like John Bon Jovi's Wanted Dead or Alive, but it's a good track. You can't knock it. Then we get a track called When I Get Out of Here. The opening chords of this song reminds me so much of The Who. Then it goes into just this driving bass and keyboard line. Absolutely stonking track. Then we get No Solution. Driving guitar riffs. Great vocal. Really good song. Then we get Pleasure Pyre. It's okay. It's a bit of a filler track. Probably the weakest track on the album. Then we get Radical You Lover. This is a great track. I've heard it live as well. It's really good. It's got a great guitar riff, and you've got this piano again. It's absolutely something about the piano work on Little Angels tracks. It fits well, it mixes well with the guitar, and Toby on here is screeching like a good one. He's up there with Ian Gillan on this. He loves screeching. Okay, coming in at number 2, and this is the last album to actually feature their original drummer Dave Hopper after he decided to go and do a sneaky. 1991's Young Gods. Solid album. Like most of all of their albums are really good. First track, Backdoor Man. Great opening solo in this, and the keyboards are just terrific all the way through this. Great vocals from Toby. Good way to start a solid album. Then we get Boneyard. This has got some great drumming. The drumming at the start of it reminds me of Def Leppard's Rocket. It's just got, and then they get this riffs that come in, superb. Then we get the title track, Young Gods, solid track, great keyboards, great guitar solo, and a very small piece of slide guitar that rips you in half. Then we get the best track on the album, I Ain't Gonna Cry. This has got horns, guitar wah wah, great vocals and riffs, really good song. Then we get The Wild Side of Life, more horns, honky tonk piano, great guitar solos, very consistent on this album. Then we get The Product of the Working Class, great start, and then going to a thumping track with horns that works so well in this track. They really made horns and rock music really work well together. Then we get a track called That's My Kinda Life. It's got a driving opening riff, and then it's keyboard and piano and harmonies. They all work well together on this track. Makes it really different and terrific track. Then we get a track called Juvenile Offender. This is a slower semi-acoustic number. Got a great kick to it. Electric guitars are in this, but they sort of play second to the keyboard, but really, really good. Then we get Love Is a Gun. It's okay, bit of a filler track on this album. Then we get Sweet Love Sedation. Fantastic guitar start. Reminds me of some of the Rolling Stones in the 80s. Great though, really good. And then we get a track called Smoke in My Eyes. Sounds a bit like The Cult. Obviously Dave Hopper was practicing. Well, I'm joking apart, it does sound a little bit in places like The Cult, but it's a very good track. Then we get Natural Born Fighter. Solid track. Best solo on the album appears in this track. Really, really good. And then we end up with a song called Feels Like the World Has Come Undone. Now, this is a mixture of different sort of music. It's a bit gospely. It's a power ballad with horns. I know we all say it sounds weird, but it actually works. And okay, it's a bit cheesy, but I do like the odd cheesy track, and this is one I do like. Okay, so my number 1, and it happened to be their best-selling album, reached number 1 in the album charts as well. 1993's Jam, their 4th album. It was actually the first official album that Michael Lee played on, although he did do the drumming on the Young Guns tour. I love this album. It's actually the second album of this band I brought. I brought that the EP. This band have confused me. Opens up with a track called The Way I Live. The riff at the start of this is brilliant, and there's lots of horns on this album. It's got driving the riff, and the horns work brilliant. Second track, Too Much Too Young. This is brilliant. got a lot of memories with this track, and when you listen to it now, especially if you're an old rocker like me, the words mean more to me now than they did back then. Great combination of guitars, horns. It's my favourite track by the band. Terrific. Next track, Splendid Isolation. This is a driving rock, but it's got some nice acoustic guitars in the mix. It's different. You got that alternating of electric guitars and acoustic guitars. Next track, Soapbox. It's one of them acoustic starting slow tracks and goes into a storming track with a fantastic guitar solo. Then we get a little ditty, 1 minute and 14. It's called STW. It's basically two guitars, one a bit atmospheric and the other just chilling out. Very short but very good. Next track is called Don't Confuse Sex with Love. Again, great rocker with those horns again. Terrific track. Next track, Womankind. This is sort of a bluesy track, and the guitar riff just carries you away somewhere else. It's quite a distinctive guitar riff that sort of not repeats itself all the time, but it keeps coming back. Absolutely makes the track. Then we get a track called Eyes Wide Open. This reminds me of Aerosmith. Back in the early 80s. It's a really good track. Then we get a track called The Colour of Love. This is a slow bluesy track. Nice combo of the guitars in this. Again, you get acoustic and electric working well, and a nice bluesy keyboard sound. Then we get I Was Not Wrong. Rock and horns just killing it. Basically, this track to me is thunder with horns. Terrific track. Then we get Sail Away. It's a little bit hit and miss. Then we get Tired of Waiting for You. Heaviest track. So you get this really heavy rock song with horns. Then to finish off, you get a little bit more of the SWT, about 22 seconds worth. So there we have Little Angels. If you've got any comments, please make them. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll put a track on the playlist for you to have a listen to. I haven't worked out which one I'm doing yet. So that's me for today. I'm not doing any more today. I'm going to chill out now. I'll see you all soon, so take care.